Hello everybody and welcome back to the best tank build for every stage of Hypixel Skyblock, from super early game to mid game to early late game to mid late game to late game. So we've got every level, we've got everything that you're going to need, so watch on. But before we get into it, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe. I'm trying to get to 2K subscribers, so hit that subscribe button down below and let's get into it. So let's start off with super early game. So for this floor, you're really going to want to stick to entrance. You should only do this if you have Catacomb 0 and up. Once you get past like 3 or 4, then you should really move on to floor 1. But this is the base guide. You don't want to put any money in. So for armor, you're going to want to use heavy armor. It's really cheap, and it only has a Catacombs requirement of 2, which is really low. So just use whatever armor you have before you hit that. That should only be a few entrance runs. For your weapon, I would just use whatever you have, such as an AOTE or Raider's Axe, something like that. For a pet, I would either use a rock or a damage pet that you have, like an Enderman. Just use whatever your best pet that you have is. Looking at it, I would use a rock normally because it just gives some defense, but you can also use a damage pet such as an Enderman, wolf, skeleton, stuff like that. Whatever you have on hand. Once again, it's entrance. Moving on to early game is where you actually are going to actually put a little bit of effort into getting a setup and stuff. So you are going to get full heavy armor again, and this time you're going to 5-star it, which will cost some money, but it is worth it. You could probably get stuff off of the AH for cheaper, as people have already 5-starred it for you, and that's cheaper than doing it yourself. You can also apply the reinforced reforge or buy reinforced heavy from the auction house again. But if you want to do it yourself, like on Iron Man or something, you can get that from the rare diamond. And you get the rare diamond from mining diamond in the diamond mines or the obsidian sanctuary. For your weapons, I would actually try to move up to an adaptive blade if you can afford it, but if you can't, then just stick with the weapon that you have. For pet, you're actually going to want to buy a new pet for this, which is either going to be the rare or epic blue whale pet. The epic is actually a bit expensive, so I would stick to the rare as that's not as expensive, and it's a much smaller investment in comparison to the epic. So for mid-game, which is floors 3 to 4, you're going to want to move on to adaptive armor, once again, reinforced, reforged, and 5-starred. And you should only use that before you hit Catacombs 15. After you hit Catacombs 15, sell it and get reinforced 5-starred super heavy armor. Super heavy armor is pretty good, and it's just a next step up from heavy armor. For weapons, I would use a livid dagger if you can afford it for floor 4s and stuff, but you might not be able to, so I would keep an adaptive blade or something of a similar damage if you can afford it. I would also get a zombie sword at this point, as it's relatively inexpensive, and it has a pretty nice healing ability that's going to allow you to heal yourself while you're in dungeons. For the pet, I would now move up to the epic blue whale pet, which is around 1.5 mil the last time that I checked, so it's not that big an investment, and honestly, you can probably make that back on floor 4. Now moving on to early late game, which is floor 5. For your armor, I would use reinforced super heavy 5-starred, like before, and if you can afford a tier 9 perfect chest plate, I would also get that to 5-starred, and I would get it to the absolutely perfect reforge. If you can afford tier 9 or higher, then go for it, otherwise stick to the super heavy chest plate. For weapons, you're going to want to get the Earth Shard, which is not that expensive, but it's decent for tank. Livid Dagger and Flower of Truth are your more expensive and better options. For pet, I would get a legendary blue whale. It's fine if it's epic, but honestly, at floor 5, you're probably going to want to level up to legendary blue whale because you're going to keep that for the foreseeable future. For mid-late game, you're now moving up to floor 6. For your armor, now I would use 5-starred giant full set of Necromancer Lord, or swap out chestplate for a high tier absolutely perfect chestplate if you can't afford it, as it does get kind of expensive. Weapon options, once again, you're going to want to go with the Earth Shard, Livid Dagger, or Flower of Truth. And with the pet, you're also going to want to get the legendary Blue Whale. The legendary Blue Whale has a lot of great perks, and at floor 6, you should definitely have it. Epic is not acceptable anymore. You want to be moved up. You could also use something like the Baby Yeti if you want to get a little bit more damage instead. For late game, you are now on floor 7, and for armor options, you could use 5-starred recombobulated giant Goldor armor, or you could use Necron armor for more damage if you're confident about your health. But I know people who play tank, and right now they're using gold armor, as just gives you a bit more health and defense. But once you can comfortably survive, then you can switch over to Necron armor if you think you can survive in it. For weapon options, you want to use the Livid Dagger or the Flower of Truth. The Livid Dagger and Flower of Truth are both very good and very useful. No more Earth Shard. You're going to stick to one of those. And if you can afford it, which I would recommend saving up for, I would get the Hyperion, as lots of the higher level floor 7 parties will not let you in unless you have a Hyperion. So if you want to consistently do it, it's kind of a necessity, but it is incredibly expensive. So you're definitely going to need to do some saving up from other floors like floor 5 and 6 to be able to get it, or auction flipping, bazaar flipping, things like that. You're also going to want to have a legendary blue whale pet for this. Now, there are catacombs requirements for each of these floors. For entrance, like I said, any catacombs level. Floor 1, catacombs 3 and up. For floor 2, you're going to want to be catacombs 8 and up. For floor 3, I would say catacombs 15 and up. For floor 4, catacombs 18. For floor 5, catacombs 23. For floor 6, catacombs 26. And for floor 7, catacombs 29 to 30 and up. Now, those do take a while, and I know that it is a pain to level up catacombs, but there's just some suggested guidelines. You can, of course, do any floor, especially if you have a party that will let you in with a lower catacombs level. So I just want to say thank you to my fact-checking team in Discord who helped me with this video, specifically Shiro, Gibson the Goat, and Bamper. They were a massive help in this video, and really helped check and make sure everything was okay, and contributing the catacombs requirements for each level. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good time playing tank, and please subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.